And we are live. Good afternoon, alienated parents, alienated grandparents, grandchildren, children of all ages. I hope you can hear this story today here on Let's Talk, Real Talk on parent alienation and child custody interference, all the way from Providence, Rhode Island. We have our special guest, um, Lora Marci. And with us today, we have my co host and host from the Andy Martin Show, Andy Martens. Um, we are so pleased to have, the opportunity to raise awareness to millions of people worldwide on Let's Talk Real Talk with Andy Martins and myself, Mary Auld-Kovacs, because this is a serious matter what children are going through psychologically to be damaged for the rest of their lives. We marry alienated adult children. We get to see it firsthand, but not expecting to be alienated ourselves. But today we have our special guest, Laura Marci, um, who is an alienated mom. She was married in 2001 and divorced by 2015. So now she has three children to deal with after 4 years of 50-50 shared parenting when it all went awry. And who better to ask questions than Andy Martins? So I'm going to turn it over to Andy while I share this program. So please share the show and get your friends, anybody that you know who's going through this. I want everyone to listen to what Laura has to say. So, Andy, take it away for us for a moment while I
Always,
share.
always a pleasure to be with you, Mary. I couldn't have it any other way. And if I'm your co-host, that's good for me as well. Welcome to the show, Laura. I just wanted to mention to all the viewers, and it's being streamed on my side of things too, that the Andy Martin show is because of the Meta Facebook deal. Canadian problem of broadcasting not allowed on Facebook, but we are circumventing it. And as soon as the Canadian government wakes up and solves this problem, we'll be back. We're building our viewership as we go. And one way or another, Mary and I find a way to stream this important issue. And join us on Saturday as we celebrate the third anniversary of the Andy Martin Show. Well, it's been going longer than 3 years, but I've been partnering up with Mary for 3 years. And also, we celebrate Mary's birthday on Saturday. That's going to be live at 8 o'clock. So that's a special edition. And I will tell my story that I've been together with the same woman for 40 years. But people that think a long relationship is easy, you will see that on Saturday that it's not easy. Mary knows the story, and there's bumps and rides and everything. So anyway, without further delay, welcome Laura from a great state of Rhode Island. That's one state I'd love to visit. It's small, but it's mighty, right by beside the Atlantic Ocean there, and it's wonderful. So, Laura, your story is kind of unique. We'll get to that in a minute. 50-50 custody. A lot of people want to get there, but for whatever reason, they wait too long. The kids get older, and the longer you wait, it's harder to get to. Your story, how did it start? You obviously loved your ex in the beginning. What went wrong?
Well, so back in 2020, so I have three kids, but back in 2020, my son, who has autism and Prader-Willi syndrome, he was 13 going through puberty. He started to have a lot of problems at school, aggressions and stuff, and it ended up that he ended up in the Children's Mental Hospital in Rhode Island. And he was in there for weeks, and my ex-husband not give him meds. And I kept saying he needs a little bit of meds. He doesn't need a lot. He just needs an intervention and a little bit of meds to get him through this hard time. But my ex-husband blamed it on my parenting. He said, no, it's your parenting. It's nothing to do with meds, you know. And so we came up with this idea where I would let him take my son to his house, because we're separated now. So he lives in another state, far 8 hours away. And I said, well, you're going to take my son, our son, to his house. And then he's going to see that he really does need meds and it's not my parenting. And there was a clause in the court that after a year it would be reevaluated and he would come back to me. So what happened was, within 3 weeks, my ex-husband put my son on all kinds of meds. He blackened the windows. He put security cameras up. He locked the door. He had a girlfriend at the time. She was afraid. She left. And she's like, I didn't sign up for this. So she left. So
Okay,
If
did we
your
lose?
his girlfriend left him, if that, do I understand correctly? Your ex's girlfriend already left him, or?
yeah, well, so what happened? My son got there. She thought, you know, they all thought it was going to be my parenting, and it's not. It's he has a syndrome and he has autism, and so it wasn't. So as after he got there and they locked the doors at night, she was afraid at night, so she left and moved back with her mother, and
Oh,
that's
so she couldn't handle the scenario there.
what they thought. They were going to, it was all me, but then they realized, oh my God, it's not her. And they did put him on some heavy duty meds. And then while the girlfriend was gone, she said, I'm not coming back until you get rid of your son, basically. So my
Wow.
ex was like, okay, well, there's this place. It's only an hour and a half from where I live. It's like a country club for his syndrome and autism, and it's a residential school. And I agreed. I had been there before. I thought it was great. And so my son ended up leaving my ex-husband. So, but because I let him go there, he has a placement, right? So we both have joint custody, but now he has placement, right? Because I let him go live there. So the school system where he lived is paying for him to go to this residential school, which costs $350,000 a year. And so he went.
Wow, that's like a little more than $10. Wow, three
Wow.
hundred and fifty
It's a
thousand a year.
Wow.
paid by the school system, right? Where he lives. So now he's an hour and a half away from me. I'm like, oh, this is great. I pick him up every Friday. I bring him back every Monday. You know, I talk to him every day. But what happened was, after like even the first week, he started to get restrained there, right? So he'd have an aggression, they restrain him, then he'd get bruises. This went on every week for 3 years. He's been restrained over 100 times. He had 50 kid aggressions with other kids hitting him. He's in and out of the emergency room, in and out of the hospital. I was like, what the heck is going on here? This is not what we signed up for. So I started complaining. I started to question their practices. I was like, and while the more I questioned, then they doubled his meds. They doubled his meds, which makes him like a shell of his former self. There's no personality. He started to stutter. He started to rock. He started making facial grimaces. I started to take videos. I'm like, what's going on here? So I started complaining. So no one liked that, right? Because it's $350,000 for the school, you know, Virginia, where my ex-husband lives. They don't want him in the classroom or whatever. So they didn't like that. So my ex-husband took me to court, and I lost my medical decision-making and I lost my educational decision-making because I was, you know, hard to get along with. But it wasn't hard to get along with. I'm trying to stick up for my son. So once that happened, my ex-husband, when I lost it, it said that I was supposed to be involved with all decisions and everything. The only way he has decision making is if everybody can't agree, then he gets the final decision making. Well, he has abused that. And then under my ex-husband's care, my son has just done horrible, just constantly in restraints, constantly needing meds. They think he needs meds, and it's been a really rough 3 years. So the school decided not to renew the contract, right? So because it was just too much for them, they decided not to renew the contract. So this was the perfect time. My son, when I have my son, I have no aggressions. It's all about knowing autism, knowing how to handle them, knowing what they need, being pro, not, waiting till after everything happens. So my, so I don't have any problems with him. So this new school, so they said, okay, well, we're going to put him in a new residential school. I'm like, no. This is the time. This is the breakdown I've been looking for. This is the time where he needs to come home to be with his mother or his father, where he can thrive. Because I know he can, because I'm with him 4 days a week. And I know I have made TikToks and stuff. I put him on the internet, and you can see he's just a kind boy, and he's put in this institution that he just doesn't belong in. So after the contract ended July 30th, then instead of letting him try a school down where my ex-husband lives, because he has placement, my ex-husband, who has final decision making, made the final decision to put him in another institutionalized school 5 hours away from me, starting on July 8th. So I went to court. I filed an emergency motion. They said it was it was not an emergency, and they sent him off to this institutionalized school where he is right now. And then my ex-husband and his lawyer are trying to use a 4-year-old parenting plan from when in 2020, when I let him go there, where it says I visit him once a month, which I made that parenting plan up because I didn't have a lawyer back then. And I said, well, I want to make sure I see him once a month. Make sure you put that in the paper. So they're using this 4-year-old parenting plan to stop me from seeing him in his new institutionalized school. So actually the school stepped in and they said, we disagree with this. Parents should be able to pick up their kids whenever they want. This isn't, they should see their mother, they should see their father, whatever. But he's still pushing it, and he's still trying to enforce this 4-year-old parenting plan, which now I'm fighting. So the alienation that I'm getting is that he is trying to alienate my son from me. He also is not letting him talk to any of the family, no family members, that can't see any family members. And the real problem is that if I had a lawyer through any of this to go up against his greedy, aggressive lawyer, then this wouldn't even happen. If my ex-husband, who has final decision making, would have said, hey, let me take him at home for a while. Let me take him for the summer and see how he is. Let's try to give him a chance to thrive. Let's see, we're done with these institutionalized schools. He's out of puberty now. He's a whole other person now. But no, he used his final decision making to put him into an institutionalized school, revenge, control, and for babysitting, because my ex-husband leads a high-end lifestyle, and he doesn't know how to take care of him on a daily basis, where I do. And I want him. I want him to be with me, but my ex-husband fights me. So it's the courts. The courts are run by money. It's not like the old days where, like, oh, the mother gets the child or whatever. The courts are run by money and greed, and they reward the abuser because he has the money for these big lawyers. Since we got divorced, he spent over $100,000 just coming after me, and I still retain joint custody. So like all those DCYF reports, all those times he called for wellness checks, a private investigator he put on me, all that stuff, there's nothing there. I have joint custody. I love my kids. I want to spend every minute with my kids. I want to take care of my special needs son who belongs home, but yet he is blocking me in every way. That's my parent alienation story.
And that's like every story out there. It's revenge. They seek revenge on you, and they weaponize you with your children. And who suffers? The children.
The boys.
I've been going through this for 19 years. I was falsely arrested twice this week, 19 years ago, a week apart. and Saturday will be 19 years that I was arrested on my birthday. They ruin everything for you. You know, the judge awarded him the house, the kids, all the assets while I was kicked to the curb. I was arrested. I was in a wheelchair.
Oh,
So I was left homeless on the street. And this is what they're doing to women out there that, are going through any kind of domestic abuse.
yes. I
We get punished for it. We get re-traumatized over and over. And, stories like yours only goes to show that what happened to me 19 years ago is just a new thing daily, daily, daily for decades. You
I
know,
people are on the internet with stories like it really boils down to money. If I
yeah.
have $1,000 retainer fee, which is what they want right now, right? And then that's just a retainer fee, right? Like I have that court date coming up in March, my appeal. So I have a full trial coming up for 3 days. They want a $50,000 retainer fee. And then after that, you have to pay monthly. For him, it's no problem. So of course they got the
Oh, where did you go?
We lost her there.
We lost her. She'll be back in a
Yeah,
moment. But yeah, so Andy, what do you think? Because we're in Canada and they're in the United States. Why is it that we cannot amalgamate? I mean, we all go have the same rules.
it's a
We all
circus.
have
Family court
children.
is a circus down there, and it's a circus in Canada.
Well, don't you think because of parental alienation, using children, trafficking is a
I can't
international
hear you.
thing?
Oh, it
Can you
is.
hear
Yeah,
us? Can you hear us? Are you there?
Can you
Can
oh,
hear
you
me?
hear us?
she's
We can hear you. Can you hear us?
I can't. I can't hear you.
You
she can't
can't?
hear us. No, she can't.
Okay, sign off and do it again.
Hmm.
Yeah, reboot.
Reboot. But anyways, yes, making this an international thing because it's happening in the UK, the US, in
Well, I
Canada. It's
think the laws in the states are different enough. It'd be
I still can't hear you.
pretty tough to make it.
log off.
Yeah, she's got to go out of the broadcast.
Can I kick
Uh,
her off for her to come
yeah,
back on?
kick her out, and then she'll come back in.
Okay, let's see.
Yeah, but it's one thing I'm confused about. If she has 50-50 custody, how come the husband has final decision making? That's a bit sketchy, isn't it?
Well, you know what? That's what they do. They play these games. Whoever has the most money when it's 50-50, they'll play the
Right.
game to
So
kick you
really,
out.
it dilutes the 50-50, doesn't it?
Yes,
A little
yes.
bit.
It's almost like bribery money,
Right. Oh,
right?
yeah.
They get the option to go to court and say, oh, this one's doing this, she's doing this, or he's doing this. And that way, they're slowly weaning the child away from the targeted parent.
Oh, let's hope Laura can get back on now. I'm not sure. Wonder why the audio would cut out on her like that, just out of the blue. It's terrible. See, we just don't know what to expect with live streaming.
No,
But yeah, this story, how many times have we heard this time and time again?
too many. It's daily. That's what I'm saying. If this happened to me 19 years ago and it happened to my ex-husband, we were 45 years prior to me, you know, it's he's already hit 64 years of being alienated from his own dad. And it's here she is, and
Okay.
it's a continuous thing because it's a generational
I think
thing.
she's caught up. It's not looking, yeah, it shouldn't be
It,
doing
it
that.
It's a
going
learned
coming then.
abuse,
Oh,
and
it
the
is. Yeah.
and it's revenge on one parent because the other parent doesn't want anything to do with that other parent. The children get caught in the middle.
Right.
You don't want me, well, you don't want the kids either, or you're not going to get the kids. I mean, this is what we hear all our lives. You leave me, you'll never see the kids again. There we go. Can you hear us?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
we
Hi.
can.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to kick you off because you couldn't hear us.
No,
We needed you to reboot.
I'm sorry.
Laura, I don't
So
know
if
if you heard the question. I just were talking to Mary. I'm a little confused. If you have 50-50 custody, how come your husband has your ex has final decision making?
Because when my son was first in the school and I started to question the practices, and I started to, you know, question their practices, like what's going on here, why is, why he shouldn't have to be held down, you should try this, you should try that, why did you change his diet, why are you upping his meds, how come you're not doing this for him, this is what he really needs, this is what I find works, all that annoyed everyone. And then my ex-husband took me to court and he won final decision making. So he has final decision making. And so he has the power not to put my son in an institution, but he does anyway. He has the power to say, okay, we're going to try our son at home, or let the mom have him and see how she does for a year. He has that power because he won that final decision making that I lost because I went up against the doctor, the school, and the school system, and I'm like, this is what's going on here is not right. It's wrong. This is not working, and we need to do something else. I mean, he's over medicated. It's horrible, and so I lost it legally. So I'm back. I'm trying to prove we all these documents, this thing called FERBA. It's where they have to give you all the documents, like every phone call that was ever made and stuff. We found so much stuff where they were all talking behind my back, and the doctor was talking behind my back. My son, all that evidence. We had this much evidence, and it just was dismissed because when I took it to court, I was dismissed because they said they had to hold me to the standards of a lawyer, and I didn't certify my documents properly. So the whole thing was dismissed. So then I filed that appeal, and then that appeal was dismissed. They said, this isn't really an emergency. This is a custody case. We'll see you back in March. So yeah, so that's how he got it. He got it by because he has the lawyers. Like, he got it because he has the lawyers. He had, since I had given him to him before to get the meds, he had what they call placement, right? So he's considered the guardian, the person that he lives with. You know what I mean? The parent him more power in Virginia, but I didn't know that was going to happen. Like, I need the medical decision making back. I need the educational so I can save my son. What's going on is an injustice. He does not belong in an institution. He belongs home with a family. It's autism. Thousands of families have their kids home with autism. Thousands of people have Prader-Willi syndrome and their kids are home. You just got to have a parent, that wants to deal with it. Like, I want to deal with him. I want him home. I want to help him lead a good life, But my ex-husband, since you're right, I left my ex-husband. So that's what the revenge comes in, and he just doesn't want me to have him, and he doesn't want me to visit him, and he doesn't want him visiting his family members. And so, yeah, I keep fighting this battle. So I'm trying to get my decision making back so that I can have my son live with me. But without a lawyer, it's hard because
it is hard because you're looked at as unknowledgeable, like you're poor or something and you're begging. I mean, no, it's not that we're begging. It's you guys using a lawyer when it could be settled between the mom and the dad right there. We don't need lawyers to do this. What
It's
we need is, the other parent to say, okay, let's just raise the children together, without conflict. There's no reason for it. If you've been raising them all along that whole time, and then all of a sudden you want to take all that away from the child, it's almost like taking a parent and killing it in
I
front of the child.
I agree. I agree. It's
And
hard.
it's hard. It's very hard for the kids. And I know what mine were 15, 17, and 18. So they were almost headed all into adulthood. Why would someone do that to a teenager? They've got enough issues on their own to deal with, their own identity and everything else. And I raised my three kids. I put them into boarding school. The girls' choices, they picked it. I tried to keep them out of trouble, this way, because the school that one of them went to, her death threat was planned on paper. And they only removed one child out of the two that threatened to kill her.
Oh my God.
So she didn't want to go back to that school. I gave them options. They chose the best boarding school in Canada, Bethany Hills International. Girls came from all over the world to go to that school. The ex-husband, away for 12 months, convinced my daughter to commit suicide over the phone. He contacted them over the phone while they were home on the weekend with me and told the 16-year-old when she goes back to school, cry suicide. This is how he sucked me into staying with him.
Oh,
And they have all their mental issues and they put it on to us. So what they do as well, they bring it on to the children by making them fearful in ways to make them do bad things for the alienator. So my daughter, of course, I contacted, well, when I told him on the phone, it's not something you tell your daughter. I said, it may have worked on you, but don't do that to the kids. Sure enough, I emailed the school that night and said, when she comes to school, please keep an eye on her. She was instructed to cry suicide. I don't know what she's going to do. Sure enough, Monday morning, I get a call. They put her in 72-hour watch in the hospital. It took 5 hours to drive there to get her. We hit a bad storm. They closed all of London down all the way down to the Kawarthas, the roads. We couldn't get there for 2 days. So, and I'm thinking, I got her the help. I said to the judge, the child needs me. She needs a family. She needs both of us. Don't take them away. He didn't care. He didn't care. He knew that the father was abusive, called him a conniving, scheming, manipulative liar. This was 19 years ago. And now they're getting away with it daily. The same tactics, silver bullets. They put one parent into prison for no reason. Why? Because you loved your kid. The kid loved you. That's not a thing to go to prison for. I could see if we shot someone or literally did something mean, but this is happening to you. You look like a good mom, caring mom. Where's the alienators? Why aren't they coming out or stepping forward and saying, oh, okay, this is how I am. I don't want her to see the kids, or I don't want him to see the kids. This is what we need to get out there, get the real stories on why these alienators are doing it. But we know same story over and over. We know why.
I agree. It's the court. It's the court system. The court system needs reform because
Yes.
it, it's all about the court system. If I would have had a lawyer back then, would I have lost my medical decision making? Would somebody have listened and said, "Oh, maybe he shouldn't be in that school. Maybe there is something to what she's saying"? You know that that was the first step. And then when the cases went down to the state where my ex-husband lives, he has an attorney every single time, and I don't know the legal loopholes of the law, so all my stuff gets dismissed, and I'm going to go up against him again, and I'm probably going to lose more because I don't have an attorney. And that's not the way family court should work. It should
No.
be about who has the money. It should be about what's going on with the kids. What what's happening with the kids, what's the best thing for the kids. You have a mother who has joint custody that wants to take care of her kid. You should let her try before you put him in an institution. Like
That's right.
it's right. I put videos on TikTok and stuff because I mean, people can really see like my son and how we get along and how he belongs home. He belongs. He needs a chance to thrive. Not just survive. That's really the whole thing here. He deserves a chance to thrive and not just survive.
That's right. Exactly. And that's my motto. I don't know if many people see it on my Parental Alienation page.
Absolutely.
Striving is thriving, like we want the best for our kids. And even like in my case too, I lost all rights to my kids' medical. I took care of them. They were born into the Chernobyl nuclear disaster and they suffer from, all kinds of diseases. I was there to nurse them from the moment they were born. I even lost one to the Chernobyl. She died. So living parent alienation with living children is worse than the death because at least I got to put closure to my daughter. She would have been 38 years old in August.
Oh,
But with the other three living and I don't get to see them, that's like a prolonged grief disorder. And it's not just parents feeling it and grandparents, it's the children feel it too because they know their parents are out there, but they're not allowed to see them. Like the parent, the targeted parent, that's so psychologically abusive. I mean, I went through it myself with being alienated from my dad, and psychologically it hurt. It made me sick to my stomach. It made my nerves pinch. And I'm just young. I didn't need that as a young adult.
yeah.
And it was all inflicted on me by an alienating adult child because he knew how to keep me away from my family.
Yeah.
So I was taken across the world, never to see my family in like years, to get no support, where I was so tight with them, to be pulled away and then blacked out, no phone, no nothing, living in the wilderness. It was hard. But little did I think that I could handle this with my own children. It's devastating. I mean, it's really hard. So I'm here to help people as much as I can and try to find solutions for all this. I mean, I lost the judge even wrote, I can't go to the school unless my children write a note saying I can. What? Like, are you kidding me? And it's in the excerpts. That is right there in like parent alienation. He alienated my children from me, a judge. And
Yeah.
that was 2005.
They don't understand. I mean, they don't understand. It's too black and white. They need more emotion. They need to have a jury court or something. They need to take away the lawyers in family court and let me tell my side and show my papers. Let my ex-husband show his side and have a jury.
Yes.
But you can't just have this just dismiss things because papers aren't filed right, and yet the kids suffer.
Yeah,
It's
they
terrible.
do. And now we're into generation of being a grandparent. There's no grandchildren yet, but what's going to happen when I do have grandchildren? I won't get to see them. Are you going to say I abused them too?
Yeah,
Like,
wait. So your kids are old enough now, though. You could see
yeah.
no one's stopping them now. But you're just
No, there is. The alienator's still in the back of their heads because I know he's the controller. You
Has-
don't go see her. You do not go see her. You go see her, I'm going to cut off your rent. I'm going to cut off your car payments. I'm going to cut off your condo. No, they were on the trial, Zoom trial. They brought me back 18 years later saying I wanted nothing to do with them. And therefore their father shouldn't have to pay me spousal support, and that I should pay him back everything over the last 10 years. These are my kids, adult kids, telling the judge this. Like, what business is it of theirs? So yeah, the kids are controlled for the rest of their lives. I know I was for 40 years. You don't go see your father. You're not allowed to go see him because you're
Right.
not coming back here. I
Right.
mean, that's same thing. Until the alienator says, go see your mom, go see your dad. That's the only way the kids' brains are going to get back together and say, oh, yeah, I got a mom, I got a dad. You know?
Yeah, it's it does get into their brains. It's
Yes. So we need to get the alienators help. We need to intervene. We need to bring them back to court to say to the judge, look, this person needs a psych evaluation, whether the child is 2, 4, 10, 18, 20, 34. There's no end to it. This is child abuse. There's no limitation or statute of limitation to child abuse, domestic violence. What we need to do is step forward and say, enough is enough. You know, we're being abused still as well by being held. It's no different than someone comes and robs your kids, steals your kids right in front of you. And you go get help. The police right away, they run and get you help. But when it's a parent that steals your kids, that's still child kidnapping, no matter what.
yeah. I
So,
I agree. It's all about control. It's all about
mhm.
you have money and you have power and all you want is control, then everybody suffers. The family suffers. He doesn't let them see their family. He doesn't see that nobody gets to see anybody. Nobody gets to call anybody. He keeps all the kids where they yeah, they're just like alone. It's really sad.
It is. But also too, like I was watching a podcast the other day, and in regards to evidence to bring into the court system on what and how to prove parental alienation, and it's a good thing for parents to keep messaging this way. That way, they got evidence of how the other parent is keeping the child away. If you have access to your kids and the phones, because you could see when the alienating parent messages while it's your time to say, oh, hi, just called to see if everything's all right. Is she yelling at you or is he yelling at you? You know, that kind of stuff, to put it into the kid's head that, oh yeah, she's yelling at me.
Oh yeah.
So these are like steps to being falsely accused of something. So now, tell me, like, how are, like, as the steps gone, how were your children speaking to you before you got zero?
So, well, I have a 20-year-old and I also have a 15-year-old. And my 15-year-old moved in with him when she was, well, 14. So she's almost 16, so 14. She moved with him. She actually lived with me for the whole time. She did excellent in school. She was on a great travel basketball team. Everything was fine. But, I lived in a modest house and I didn't have a lot of extra money for her. She likes high end things. And, he said, come live with me and you can live my extravagant lifestyle. I live in a, $1 million house. I have this great job. I'm hang out with celebrities. I'll get you a car. I'll send you to camp.
Mm.
I'll buy you, everything you want. And she was just like, she's a teenager and she said, Mom, I'm gonna go. So she left. And I let her go. I said, okay, and if that's what you want to do, you know, you can do that. I understand you want to live that high end lifestyle or whatever. But the problem is that once she got there, he made it really hard to see her and talk to her, and like it's not easy, right? So I saw her in January, and then now I was trying to see her again in August, and he makes it very difficult. And I'm sure he probably, you know, once she says, "Oh, I'm going to go see mom," then he all of a sudden he puts her in counseling. So it's kind of like, he makes it very difficult. So she doesn't text me a lot. I think, I don't know. I'm trying to see her in August. He's like, well, the only time that it's available is this day and a half in August. So I'm going to go get her for like a day and a half, total 2 days, and then I'll bring her back. And then I'm just not giving up. Like I don't pressure her because I think that it makes her uncomfortable, and I think that makes her have anxiety. Right, and I show up at a basketball game down there 8 hours away and stuff like that. So, but I'm not giving up. I'm taking it slow, right? So I'm going to see her in August, and then I'm going to show up for a basketball game, even if she doesn't really acknowledge me, and I'm just going to, I want to keep I want to see my kids. I want to keep my relationships with my kids. I was very, very close with them. And my other daughter's in college. So it's a little different with her. She still can't talk to the relatives. She's not allowed to talk to relatives and stuff like that. But the thing with the girls is that they have a voice. They can.
Mhm.
They're 18, 19, 20, 21, whatever that day comes. You know what I mean? I think that they will come back to me. I will once this is sort of over and they're not living under his roof and all that kind of thing. I think it's fine. It's the boy that I'm worried about, because the boy doesn't have a voice. Okay, I'm his voice, and they silence him, and he is the one who's suffering the most right now, because he is
Mhm.
away from his family in an institutionalized school that he doesn't belong in, and he deserves a chance, and he's not getting one, and that's wrong. Right? The girls will come around. I think the girls are going to come around, but
Yeah, he's held against his will.
right. He's there. He doesn't belong there. He wants to come home. He doesn't belong in all these meds. I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. And if you don't want me to have him, how about you have him? Why don't you take him to your fancy house and get a nanny? You have the money for it.
Yes,
Get a nanny and help out. No, because the girlfriend doesn't want him there, and they don't want him interfering with their high-end lifestyle. And they come across to everybody like it's something else, but I know him, and I really know what's going on, and I know that he's doing it just to keep him from me, and just to keep for revenge, and just to use that school as babysitting for so he can just plug
absolutely.
out when he wants, put him back, and then go on with his merry way, take his vacations. Doesn't have to bring him. School will watch him, but I can watch him. What about me, right? But why not? I get
Right.
talks and stuff like that, and so people could see. I don't know what else to do. I'm gonna go up against this lawyer in March, and I'm probably gonna get destroyed. She's
I
gonna know.
think I asked you in one of our messages about Mackenzie friend. Did you
Yes,
look it up?
I looked that up. I looked it up. I did try to get a divorce coach, but it's such a complicated thing because there's medical involved and school involved or whatever. So as a divorce coach, she gave me good advice. She said you need to get your son back and you need to get your medical decision making back. But how to get that, you need a lawyer, right? So Mackenzie's friends, I did look that up, and I think that's a service though. You still I think you have to pay for a consult fee.
Yeah, it's not much though, but it's better than paying hundreds of thousands out to a lawyer that, that's not even going to be there to support you.
Yeah.
So,
That's
'cause
better.
who knows your story better than you, right? I mean, if you could have a Mackenzie friend and have things categorized in your brief as you're up there, you could have a pile of one kind of evidence, the next one, as you exhibit them. Um, but they can hand you something because they've got it right there in front of them so that you don't stumble and not know what you're doing, because you need to be as professional as you can up there. They say don't show emotions, but it's so hard. Even when I do my podcast at the end, I always have this in my throat, knowing that someone reached out and needed help, and this is the best I could do. And it breaks my heart that I can't help my kids.
Right.
you
That
know, but it's very difficult to walk into a courtroom unprepared. But if you are prepared and you know in your heart that you've been telling the truth all along, it makes it easier. I know, you said you were nervous coming on here, and look how well you did. So I have faith in you to walk into that courtroom. But it's nice to have some kind of a supporter there, even if you got a domestic abuse counselor or something that's free service. I had that come with me in one of my court cases in London, just knowing that someone's there because I was out of town court, and that makes it difficult. You can't have your family and your friends come with you. So I'm glad that we do have support through the court systems, but are they really there to support us or to support the courts? So bring your own friend in is what I could mostly suggest, someone that you trust.
I did bring advocate with me when my case got dismissed. I did bring an advocate with me, and she was, speaking about the schools and autism and everything like that. But they it didn't really help at that time. They just said that my documents weren't. I pulled out some documents of the aggressions, and they said my documents weren't certified properly. And I'm like, well, how?
Wow.
And they're like, nope, they're not certified properly. And the judge was like, well, you know what? I have to hold you to the standards of, and I'm dismissing the whole thing. And so
Wow.
but nothing happened. And that's why I went and filed that appeal. And they said it wasn't an emergency. So my son ended up at the school, and now I still have one coming up in March, and I got to do it again. And it's just, it's like I have all my facts and I have all my evidence, and it just boils down to, they always say, well, who has final decision making? Well, he does, but how did he get it? He
How
got it
did he get it? Yes.
the wrong way. He didn't get it because I went off and did some crazy things and, was doing all kinds of medical experiments or something like that. And he got it because I was arguing for the safety of my son. I was
Mm-hmm.
arguing. He got it because nobody wanted to hear me. Nobody at the school, nobody at the school system, nobody at court. No one cares what I have to say about my son. They just didn't care. They just like, oh well, the professionals know. The professionals don't know. You know who knows?
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't hold up in court, right? That doesn't hold up.
Right.
You're the mother and you understand and you want to offer. I offer so much advice, and they just they wouldn't even return my emails. It's like, I know my son. I'm with him 4 days a week. I talk to him every day. I know him. But it doesn't matter if you know him, right? It matters if you have a big lawyer who knows the legal loopholes, who can say,
Yeah.
oh, that wasn't certified properly. That's dismissed. Or I object to this. It's like, if I were smart enough to be a lawyer, I would have been one. If I were smart enough to go look up case law, I'm not that smart. I think lawyers are very smart. They're like lawyers, doctors. I'm not up to that level, right? I'm just a regular person.
Right. A lot of lawyers, when they fight against you, are only there for the money. They're not there to support you. Divorce court should be an equal thing for the children, no matter what. Children should not be weaponized with what from one lawyer to the next. This is what these lawyers are doing. They're ruthless, they're careless, and they just got deep pockets. That's all they care about. And how much they can give to the judge so that the next time they'll win another case and another case. I mean, children are being abused by these lawyers, and there are lawyers out there that are good, that are speaking out, that are helping us,
Yes.
and we're going to need more. My lawyer got caught. My lawyer got disbarred just months before my trial in 2021. And it was devastating because I had to find another lawyer to start all over again just before the trial that we prepared for 3 years, you know? But I'm glad he got disbarred. He got caught. He got caught lying to the judge. He got caught lying to me, to all the other clients, he got caught giving alcohol and drugs to some of the clients that were close by. I'm glad I was out of town, but he was sending me video games instead of files, and he would call and he'd just blast me. And I'm thinking, whoa, dude, you sound like my ex-husband. Do you want to really traumatize me like that? But thank God for Ontario Law Society catching them and putting a stop to it, because this is what we need, um, to keep courts from corruption and keep our children safe. Keep children out of the family court system. I think we lost Laura. Um, Not sure. Okay, she's gone. So what I'm going to do is going to end this show. Um, we've hit the 50-minute mark. So just want to say thank you for tuning in to Let's Talk Real Talk on Parental Alienation with our special guest, Lora Marci, all the way from Rhode Island, and Andy Martens from the Andy Martens Show. Please tune in on Saturday night. Andy doesn't know this yet, but I'm doing a live show in Niagara Falls for my birthday, retirement day, and our third year a celebration of having guest speakers and parents, moms, dads, alienated grandparents, and children tell their story on the psychological abuse they've gone through the court system, because it's not just an isolated area. It's worldwide. It's in the UK, it's in the US, it's in Canada. So what we need to do is amalgamate and get all advocates working together, like myself here with my podcast that goes worldwide to all the parent alienation groups. It goes to LinkedIn, goes to Twitter, goes to Facebook. And, if you could please share and help someone that needs help going through this. And if you could be their character witness or whatever, please reach out to them, because you don't know, this could happen to you or to your next family member or anyone. So in the meantime, again, thank you for tuning in on Let's Talk Real Talk on Parental Alienation with myself, Mary Auld-Kovacs. 19 years alienated due to 2 false arrests. I will keep saying this. I beat the charges, and I did lose my children, and I didn't deserve it. But I think we just got Laura back to say goodbye.
Yeah.
Let's see. Hi, Laura. Okay, we're just getting ready to say goodbye. So, your final thoughts. My last words were never give up, never
Uh,
give up, never give up. Yours?
mine are the same. I'll never give up, and I'm just going to go to court, and I'm just going to try my best, and I hope for justice. I hope they say, "Oh, give this poor boy back to his mom and let him live a good life," and then if something were to happen and it didn't work out, I mean, they could have him back. But I know in my heart that if they would give him a chance, that he could be the best person that he could be. They're not letting the best person he could be by keeping him.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we keep praying. We'll pray for you daily. Until then, we could have you back. You could give us updates on your progress. And, I hope to goodness someone sees this podcast in your sake today, and your sons and your daughters, and reaches out and helps you, because we all need help out there, no matter what. There are parents who are strong-willed, but deep inside, their hearts are just as broken as yours. So reach out and touch one of those advocates, because they're there for you. God bless you, uh, Laura, and your family, and my family, and everybody else's family out there. If you can, stay out of family court, or just don't use your children in family court. Children need both moms and dads and both sets of grandparents to grow healthy minds, healthy bodies, and healthy souls. So until then, see you all Saturday in Niagara Falls. Good
Bye.
night.
You.
Bye.